Convo. Welcome back to Candid Conversations with Carmen. I'm your host, Carmen, and this is my side host,
Ashley.
And our wonderful producer,
T-Nugget.
We are back with another episode of our final season. This one I'm really excited about. These ladies were on before, and I said, Troy, can we get them back? Can we please get them back? And he was like, okay, I'll ask. And they were so generous to take out their time to be able to join us today on today's episode. And so you all are going to know who they are. I think the world of them. I'm like, the world is their oyster. Yes. And I'm just like, I just think they are the most lovely young ladies. So without further ado, Jessica and Edith Salazar.
Hi.
Yes.
We're back.
Yes.
We're excited to be back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm so happy. You can go ahead. I don't want to.
No, but I was just saying because like last time y'all came, we got to have a really wonderful conversation, and then just even before we got started, we were laughing and having a really good time. I think it's just really awesome because I feel like God has just done so much for y'all, and he's continually doing things for y'all and taking y'all to do new heights, but y'all are always listening to him. So it's always a great thing to behold.
Yes.
And we're like, what's new?
Yes, like I told y'all. So the last time we were here, I was like, okay, these are boss ladies. Like they are entrepreneurs. They are running the world. I was like, yes. So I want to catch up and like, where are you all now? Like I know Coyote Cole.
Yes.
Was I don't know if you're so you got to give me a rundown and Mustard Thread, so you got to so how is everything now? Like
I would say I'm still doing Wild Coyote. It's still running. Okay. We did some markets last year. I paced myself that time because the year before that I did so many markets. I was burnt out. So this year I was a little bit more selective, and it was just fun. It was just fun to do the markets, just go out when we could. Mm-hmm. I even did an event with Vintage Vineyard where I did like little doggy pictures. Oh, yeah. So that was really fun, and that kind of led into my other business that I'm starting now. So I'm doing the photography.
Yes.
And I'm so excited. And I did my first wedding December, and so I've been doing like little shoots here and there, and then the wedding was huge.
Yeah.
That one was really fun to do, a very big milestone. So that's what I'm going in with this year is doing the photography.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's so exciting.
It's
amazing. Okay.
Yeah, and it was like kind of similar for me. I was trying to do a lot. Well, I was trying to do more markets this year, but it was only like 2, which is enough for me. I'm like, because usually it's a lot to prepare for the market. So I've been trying to go out of my comfort zone, and also I feel like I was trying this past year to just be better at not overworking myself. Because I was like, I need to take care of myself too in order for my business to flourish. So it was a lot of that, like leaving it to God to just taking care of myself and also giving my customers the best that I could. So it was a lot of that, a lot of surrendering to the Lord again and being like, what do you want me to do?
Yes.
Where do we go?
And when you're talking about like you're like overworking, Carmen has really been beating me over the head with me being always on the go, always doing, always moving, always doing. And you're saying like spending time with yourself and taking some time for self-care. What does that look like for you? Like taking that time?
I think it's like being able to say no sometimes. Like I can't do that right now. And also understanding my limits, because I used to work all night till midnight, and I'd be like, you know what, it's just part of the grind, like that's how the business is. But then I was like, I'm getting sick at the end of it all. Like I'm like my body's telling me you need to take some time off,
right?
And so I tried to slowly so like I started being like, I'm gonna stop at 9 p.m. Like stop doing stuff, because I had to go backwards little by little, because if I tried to all of a sudden stop at 4, I wouldn't be able to. I'd be like, no, I can keep going. And also like I'm a night owl, so like when the nighttime would come, I'd be like, I'm so ready. I'm like, I'm awake now. Like, I feel like I can do this. And so it was just, I try to do like little things, not just cold turkey, because when I would try to do that, it wouldn't work. And then I'd be like, what's the point? Like, so I would just have to do small steps and then gradually get myself there where I'm like, okay, like I have a routine now and I know what I'm doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know two things I want to talk about, but
Yeah.
the first thing is you did a post, I saw it a while back. You were like, I'm just being honest with like my consumers and all of that stuff. And it was like really vulnerable.
Yeah.
And because I'm not the person who's on Instagram, but when I saw the post, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so authentic and real, and just like nobody would know if you didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And it was like, so what? You can give a little backstory about the post, and then like what was the if you want to, and what was the
I feel like last time I was here on this podcast, I felt like life was good, like it's great, and then by the end of that year, I was like, I'm not doing so good, and like I constantly will be like, I'm not doing so good, it's whatever. Yeah. But I feel like that time I was like, I need help, like I genuinely need help, and I feel like God brought me to this point where He was like, you need to go get help. Like, I need you to let me help you by going to somebody to help you. So I started like seeking help from a counselor because like I just need to talk to somebody about some things because I know that my patterns aren't healthy. Like, because I used to be like, it's fine, I work till midnight. I got no time to do anything else. It's whatever. This is just life. But I started being like, no, I need to look at myself for a second and be like, this isn't okay. Like, I can do better. Like, we can do better. And so by the beginning of 2024, I was really like going into the healing. And it was hard because there was a lot of things that I would talk with my therapist about. And I'm like, I don't feel like anything's changing. I don't feel like anything's fixing. And so it was really frustrating. But I feel like eventually I did see a difference. And I feel like that's when I made that post. I was like, I'm starting to see the greener pastures now.
Yeah.
And like, so like at first I wanted to keep that part a secret, but I was like, I think it's important to be honest with people about where I'm at in life and be like, I'm struggling. And it started seeping into my business and like these were toxic patterns that I thought were healthy, but they're not.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a lot of like, God being like, I just need you to surrender that part. Like, you thought that was life, and it's not. Like, I have better for you. I want a new life for you, and I want you to heal. And so that was, like, a big thing for me. I was like, I did not expect to be in this position, but I'm just so grateful. Because ever since then, I feel like now I'm able to do things, like, spend more time with family. Like, especially this past, like, Christmas and Thanksgiving, I was actually trying to spend time with my family and, like, actually stop and be like, okay, we're not doing anything this holiday season. I'm resting. If some people start giving me a hard time, like, where's my order? Like, I can set boundaries. Boundaries were so important too. I didn't know what that was initially, but now I'm like, boundaries. Like, I'm working on it. Please give me some time. Like, I remember before the healing and everything, like, I would even, I'd just be like, all orders come in. I don't care. Like, I'll get through it. But this past year, I was like, no, here's my deadline. And if, you place an order after that, I'm not doing it anymore. Yes. Like, it's not going to make it to you by Christmas. And this is just me telling you ahead of time. Like, it was a lot of, again, setting boundaries and moving some things around. So that I can, take care of myself and serve others well. Like that. And that way, everything just ran more smoothly. So,
I love that.
And so, Edith, for you, like, you're expanding, you're doing everything. Are you seeing some of the same things? Like, are you taking time for yourself? Are you changing? I know you had some, like, in just work period, you were going through some transitions. How did, like, if you want to expound on that? Or
Yeah, so I've been having a lot of change in my life. And I think it all kind of started, like, a little bit around May.
Yeah.
Because I had just been numb. Like, I had just been numb to feeling anything, crying or anything. And I'm a crier. But I could not cry.
Yeah.
And it took me a situation for God to get my attention. And he's like, okay, you have to turn to me. And I felt everything. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like, it was rough. And then, so then it led me to also finding a therapist, like, close to me. And she's a Christian, and which was amazing. I was like, I didn't even know she was this close. This close. And so that, oh my goodness, it helped me immensely. I think my thing last year was breaking cycles, because I was like, I've been in so many cycles, and I was like, God, please break them. And that was a hard prayer.
Even for me.
And I was like, there's a lot of things that I was like, man, I did not know this was a bad thing, you know. It was just my everyday, kind of like her. And then I also remember, like, it was just a lot of change going on from May on. Like, the next couple months were a lot of change. Everything in my life was changing, and I thought, like, work was okay, you know, this was okay. But literally everything in my life, it was like, it was just, we were bringing it up. We were changing things up. And I remember in July, I was talking to my therapist, and she was like, oh, yeah, you know, we take our dogs, because they have a therapy dogs there. And like, we take our dogs to this clinic, and then like, we were just talking about how she's, you know, works at a clinic, you know. We think this was a good one. And at that time, I was like, I'm not looking for another job. Like, I was confused, but it was introduced then. Yeah. And then I felt God, like, keep bringing it up. And I was like, I'm kind of confused because I haven't had this conversation yet, you know? Yeah. That's like, oh, you know, maybe you should look for another job. And then it was like, things kept coming up. Yes. And then I started seeing why I was supposed to leave. And I was like, I see you guys. Because I was like, this is unbelievable that all this stuff is going down right now. Like, I was like, oh my goodness, I see why you warned me ahead of time. He prepared my heart for what was coming. That was another lesson too that he taught me last year. He's like, I'm going to throw you into something without you being prepared. Oh, I love that. He's like, I tell you ahead of time, and I prepare you to be ready for that point. And so, because I was so comfortable in working at this place, I love this clinic I was working at. But I was like, I think, like, God had been nudging my heart that it was like, it was time to go. And I was like, I'm just not ready. And then the time finally came. And so I recently left my job. It was hard at the time. And I'm still like, you know, I still miss the place. But I'm like, I know God has better. Because another thing, too, so many things I learned. But he was like, he wants the best for you. And he has the best in mind for you. And he's like, you know, you're leaving a good thing, and that's okay. You know, we're going to do even more things. I just need you to put this aside because there's more room for more things coming your way. And I don't know what that is. Yes. But I'm like, here it is. And then I think it was just like simplifying life because I like to do everything in life. Like if I could do 50 things, I would do 50 things. Yeah. Now, do I carry it well is the problem. I could think of 50,000 businesses I want to do, but that's just not feasible for one person. And like even with the farm, I came to have a lot of goats. And so I came to the decision, I was like, for them and for my sake, I think I'm going to have to sell some. And that was incredibly hard. So I sold like half of my herd because I was like, it's just overwhelming. One person. I have 50,000 things going on and I have them. And I also had like goals and dreams for that. And I was like, I think that the dream there is kind of shifting. It's not what it used to be. So I did keep some of my favorite goats. Yeah. But I also like let that go the same day I left the clinic. So it was like it was a big So when I came home,
you were crying.
Like, there's an empty pen and there's no goats in there. Yeah. And so it's just been so much change. But God was preparing me all along. He's like, hey, it was gentle. He did not rush me. And he was good and graceful through it all, even though I feel like in some things, you know, he could have been like, you could have left sooner, or you could have done this sooner, you could have sold your goats sooner, or something like that. But he was so graceful in that. And I think this past year was more of like, again, learning who he is again, because you think you get to know God, but man, there's so much more to learn. Like, there's so much to his goodness that we can't grasp. Yes. And you get like those little bits of him, and man, it's incredible to like and an honor to get to know him. Like and that he even like warns us before, and he prepares us for things. He doesn't just throw us off.
Yeah, he makes a way.
Yeah, he makes a way.
He makes a way. Like,
and he loves to wow. That's another thing that I love. Like, he loves to wow.
Yeah, he loves to surprise. Yeah.
Yes. And I was like, that's cool.
That's so good.
We don't think of that, but it's like, he loves to surprise. He loves to go all out because that's how much he loves us, you know?
That is awesome. Oh my gosh, that is like rejuvenating. Because a lot of things that y'all are saying is things that the Lord has been, y'all are confirming some things is what I'll say. It's because it's just like, I was like, maybe not. He's like, are you going to do it or not? You know, and so just really hearing you saying like, God is with you in the way that's perfect for you. Like he's walking with you, like he's guiding you, he's supporting you. He's like, I'm not gonna throw you out there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm pushing you to be better, and maybe it's uncomfortable, but it isn't. You're not alone.
Yeah.
And I just, that is just so beautiful.
And he just doesn't throw you to the wolves. He's just like, hey, I have this. I'm preparing, like you said, preparing your heart months in advance. He was saying, opening the door for you to have the thought of like, hey, there's another opportunity that you could potentially move into or to see, and then giving you new ideas and new, like you said, you have 50 million businesses in your mind. But the thing is that each one in the due time and due season, as you have seen, God has taken one business and moved it into this business, into that one and that one. And so for me, I'm always like, okay, I'm just waiting for the next one and how big it grows, and the grace and the favor that God places on you, because I do believe that God has, through your obedience and your love of him, he is he breathes on your things. Whatever it is, he breathes on it.
He brings it to life.
He breathes on it, and he expands it. And so then when it happens, it's like it blows up. And so like I'm always like, I'm waiting for the amazing testimony, because it always is. It's like like it's going to be like the photography. You say, oh, that was one wedding. I'm like, oh well, it's probably going to be like 10 weddings for the whole, 10 weddings in a month. You're like, how can I do 10
booked and busy? It's like no.
But no, honestly, that's what I see is through your obedience, God will continually, as you are continually obedient to him, he will continually shine on everything that you do, because you're following him in it. So.
And one thing I want to make sure, I just thought of this, because there's another thing. There's so many things from last year, but with photography, that was a thing I had tried to start a long time ago. And then I started, and I was like, nothing came out of it. So I was like, I'll just do these other things. And then it turns out these other businesses were kind of preparing me for the photography. And now it's just kind of like just taking off,
Yes.
And it was like something that I thought was dead, and I didn't think it was going to, come back. And God, last year, he taught me, and he was like, I can restore things in your life. So many things, even in my personal life, even in my personal relationships, things in my family, things that I thought I was like, they were done with, and I had put them aside because I was like, I'm not even going to, like, it's done. It's final. And God was like, it's not final. I was working this whole time, and I'm making everything new. And I was reading Ruth, and that was the story where he showed me, he was like, I'm making all things new. And it was just amazing. And it just made me so hopeful, because I'm like, I thought all these things were done with. I thought, I was kind of hopeless. And then he was like, no, like, I love to restore things. I can restore anything in your life. And I was like, I don't know, it was incredible. And the photography thing was one thing that I was like, I thought that was in the past.
Now,
I was like, no, it's not. Timing is good.
Because now that you bring that up, I remember, like, you asking about the post that I made. The reason why, like, he was also teaching me about restoration, because I remember at the time I was like, God, I feel like I messed up so badly that I want to close this business. I genuinely, I was like, I want to start from scratch, like, listen, everything now. Like, because sometimes when you go into healing, you feel like a failure at some points, because you're like, like, now I'm starting to know better, and I'm disappointed that I didn't know better all along. But God literally was like, no, we're just going to be honest with people and keep moving. I was like, okay.
And what's crazy when you say that is because God was showing me just last week, because I had this crazy thing happen, and I hurt my hand, and it was in the weirdest way possible. But then we were praying, and I prayed for healing, and he healed my hand.
Oh, wow.
He really did heal it, but there was pain. And what God was showing me was that even in healing, there's pain, but the pain is restorative. Like, and you have to just make it to the end, but you have to thank him for the victory in that, not looking at what it feels like or what it seems like, but knowing that he has done the work. And so that was the thing that was just standing out to me, was like, in that is God saying, no, you might have thought you did something so totally different or so wrong, but that's part of the healing. That pain is the growth in that. And so now I can take it. Now that you've recognized it, now that you have acknowledged it, I can take it and I can move it forward. So that's just really a blessing.
That's amazing. Honestly, I'm over here like really getting like poured into, I feel like, because what I was gonna say when I said I had two things to say is I was like, looking at you both, I remember the last time you were on, and I was like, something's different. Yeah. Like, I was like, something's different. I was like, and I don't know what it is. And then hearing you both talk, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're just you know, they're growing in the Lord.
Yes.
And so it's like, you already knew the Lord, and he was showing you himself, but you're seeing him in new ways, and having a refreshed view of him and his hand in your life. And he's showing up for you the same but differently too, because it's like he's like, oh, now I can work, like now I can now I can you're trusting me with this, oh now I can play, like it's like, so just seeing that is so encouraging, because I understand, like, a lot of times, like you said, when you're going through healing, people, you're not alone in that, you know what I mean? So for that to be a present state in which you were in a process that you're still in, and you're still growing and being refined and growing, and the Lord is still working it out in your journey. It's a testimony for others to be able to say, this is where I was, this is where I am, it's so much better, and it's getting better. Like, it's like, it's going to continue to increase and improve. And for you to be like, you know what? God is restoring. I thought that was dead and gone. Like, I thought these were the dry bones. Like, and he's breathing new life into it. And we've got an army out here because the Lord is breathing life into my life, into the people around me's life, and allowing you both to be lights. You know, you're like, you know, the enemy tries, you know, come confuse. Yeah, it's very dark, you know.
Exactly.
But the Lord is keeping you, and just to hear the way that you're speaking and just growing, because I see confidence in you that wasn't there before. Not that you weren't confident, but there's a confidence in you that the Lord is growing, and a boldness that is being lit. And I'm just like, ooh, Lord, I can't
praise Jesus.
And I'm ready for the more, and it's encouraging me, because I'm like I said, a lot of things that y'all are saying has been confirmation to me, because the Lord has been convicting your girl. Like, he's been like, do better. And he's been gracious, but he's been convicting me. And there are a lot of things that y'all are saying and have been saying. It's like, God is going to do what God is going to do. He is going to be consistent. He's going to be faithful. He's going to be there. If you don't show up, if you don't do the work, if you don't say, okay, I'm willing to be uncomfortable, you both had to extend yourself in a degree of vulnerability to say, hey, I'm going to go and get someone to help me to process the things that are going on in my life, the things that I've seen, things I've done, things I've been through, everything. That takes vulnerability and a willingness to be uncomfortable. And so I'm just like seeing the fruit of your intentionality in this moment is just blessing me so much. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just revival. I feel like it's like refreshed. It's so rejuvenated.
And like you said, it's confirmation, but it's also showing me like that sometimes you have to work through the past to get to your future.
Yeah, that's so true.
And so, like, even for me, the last few weeks, I've been doing a lot of personal, like, reflection and writing and doing a whole lot of stuff. And God has, like, he's been showing me through those things, like, all the things that he's done for me, but also, like, how much I've grown from that space. Yeah. And, like, but then at the same time, like, there's still so much work to do. And, like, don't get complacent. Yeah. Don't get tired. But in that his grace is sufficient to get me to the next thing. Yeah. And so I, like, listening to y'all, it's just really, like you said, like, being able to hear from him and knowing that he can be the one that can be your kinsman redeemer. Like, he can send you that person.
He really can.
That will expound it. That you don't have anything, but then you're owning all the fields. You know?
Like,
you owning all the fields, you know. Exactly. So, like, that is the thing. And so I'm just I'm really excited for what's coming next.
I am too. Yeah. I'm like, I'm ready. You know, you're like, what? Pace yourself.
Yeah,
because I'm so excited for what God is doing,
Yeah.
what he will be doing, and just seeing the fruit of, you know, of his hand in your lives. And I'm already happy, like excited for where you are. Cause I was just like, I'm like, something is different. I'm like, in a good way. I'm like, oh, I'm loving this.
See, that's awesome to hear. Because all beginning me would have appreciated hearing that. Because at the time I was like, no. Because I remember starting healing, like when I started healing and actually going to therapy. Because so there was this lady, I met her through social media, and I remember when I first started reaching out to her, I was like, I don't need healing, but like, can you hear me out about this problem? And then I disappeared for a couple months, and then I remember going to talk back to her, and I was like, yeah, so like I need that healing. Like she even brought it up. She was like, you said you didn't need any, but here we are. I was like, yeah. But I'm just so grateful for her because I remember the end of 2023. I was so depressed entering to 2024, and like this past New Year, I literally was thinking back and I was like, God, thank you so much that I'm not where I was. Like I could not stop being so grateful this past holiday season because I was like, I am so much better. Like I'm just so grateful to just be happier now, and like just that you didn't leave me there. I'm so grateful you didn't leave me there. So grateful.
So if you could tell anybody, like through this process of growth and healing and finding a counselor and a therapist that works for you, like what would you say to somebody who was like on the fence about it? Like, you know, like you said, I don't need healing. Like I have these things that are happening here, but I don't necessarily heal. I'm good.
Yeah, I would say don't get discouraged. Because and like don't be afraid to be vulnerable, because I remember when I started again, I was very much like, can we get this over with? Like I was like, I'll just do this quick course. We'll go through it real quick and I'll be better by the end of it. And I remember the end was coming and I'm like, I'm still not doing great. My therapist Nicole brought something else up about me. Like she has this gift of like just reading people, like the Holy Spirit just, I remember there would be times we would have one-on-one sessions and she would be like, so the Holy Spirit just told me this. And I would be like, no. I was like, Holy Spirit, why did you just tell on me? Like, I didn't want to talk about that. And, but yeah, it would get discouraging at times for me because I was like, God, I thought this would be faster. Like, I would just get this over with and I'm good. Like, I go back into the world and I'm done. I'm healed. And I just see how God, it's all a process with him because he wants us to grow closer with him and get to know him better. Again, a relationship, like it's not just a quick end all be all and you're good to go. So I just say don't be discouraged. There are going to be some times where you're like, oh, I went back to doing what I would usually do. It's like, does that mean it's not working? Like, no, it's just part of the process. Like, so just don't be discouraged, and it's okay to have bad days, and it's okay to talk to people about it. And again, because like you telling us like you see something different, I think that's just so encouraging because again, it's not up to us to produce the fruit. Like God is working in us and he'll make it happen. And like eventually, you know, you're gonna look around and be like, wow, how did I get here? It was worth it. It was so worth it. I just want to tell everybody that it's so worth it. It's so worth it.
That's awesome. What would you say?
I was gonna say it can be rough.
I really can.
You're like almost on the other side. I'm completely on the other side. I remember, when I was looking for a therapist, I remember I was in just such a fragile state because I was feeling everything, so I didn't want to feel anything, and then all of a sudden I'm feeling all these feelings. I'm like, I think I need to find somebody, and just like praying through. And I remember when I called it in and answered, I was like, this is it. I can't get help. I was over there next to my cow and I was like feeding him grass and I was like, I can't find nobody. I was in the dumps. And then they called me back and I was like, oh, and I was terrified. In that first session, like I just let it all out. And I was like, you have to let it all out. So that like goodness can be poured into you. And so I was like, that was the thing that I was like, you know, I just had to be vulnerable. And some sessions were hard. Sometimes I would come in crying, but every time I would leave, because my therapist, she always encourages me. She always uplifts me. And she's like, you gotta remember, God's your encourager. Satan is your discourager. So don't listen to him. Whenever you're hearing things like that, don't listen to that. And I just wanted to like to say that it's not easy. It's messy.
Yeah.
But that's where God works the best in the messiness.
Yeah, that's where you see him the most. You're like,
yeah,
what?
that's where things grow.
Yeah.
And you gotta bring things to the light so that they can grow, because they're not gonna grow in the darkness. If you're just holding all the emotions, holding it all in, you're just nothing's gonna come out of it. You gotta bring it out to God, bring it out to the light, and put it out there so like he can take care of it. He'll water it and everything, and things will grow out of that area that you're like, it's barren and it's dark in there.
Yeah.
Because I've been trying to keep it dark.
Exactly.
Because you're only hurting yourself, and God wants to help you
really
so
are.
bad, because that's who he is. He wants to pour into you. He just wants the best for you. It's just leaning into that. Like, it can feel scary, but he's the safest place you can be in.
Yes. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know how you be like, we can eat there because it's just so good. I think I know we probably are kind of going up on time, but one thing that you both have said that has just really stuck out to me is really the process of it all. It's like you're in process. And to give yourself some grace, it's like you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And it just reminds me when in the Bible it says, he who started the work, he's faithful to complete it. Like, I was talking to my dad last year. We were at Ashley's homecoming, and some things had happened. And I won't go into the details, but some things had happened, and it was a lot. Like, it was just a lot. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I believe what the word of God says. I think that is the truth. Like, if I believe that, then I have to stand on that.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, if the Lord is, Lord, start the work, because you're gonna complete it.
Yes.
Like, start it. Just crank it up. Like, just start it. Because once you do that, and like you're saying, we started somewhere. Like, you're like, you call and you were like, oh, they didn't even answer my call. This is it. But it's like, no, you did what you were supposed to do. God does the rest. So if he's saying, I'm starting this work in you, he's planting those seeds already within you. He's giving you the unction. You need help. You need somebody that's not just you to work through, what you're dealing with. And so for you to say that in a practical way, I think a lot of times it's hard for people to have practical application. And so I feel like it's just such a blessing for you to come, for y'all to be on it and to say that, because it is so true that this is how you can actually walk it out. This is how you can actually, like, it might be hard, like you said. Don't not go into this naive. Like,
it might be crying down the street.
Right. Then you might be in your car, have to take a minute, pull over to the side of the road, cry a little bit, and get back on there. But it's you're better for it. And so this conversation has been such a blessing to me. I mean, we're on the second day of the year. This is going to be coming out on Tuesday, so like immediately.
Awesome, yes.
And I feel full. So I'm happy because I really, really have enjoyed this conversation.
Honestly, it's been refreshing for me too. I'm like, yes, I love it.
Yeah, I'm like, this is amazing. I don't want to do you have anything else?
No, I'm good. I'm reflecting.
Yes.
It's introspection.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thinking about some things.
Yes. Now, do you ladies have anything you want to say? You can plug your businesses. You can say whatever you want before we end today's. Any messages, nuggets, anything you want to leave with?
I don't know. I think another thing I wanted to add is for me, like, going to find a counselor, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. And I remember, I'm just so grateful that when God calls you to something, he provides along the way. So he's provided this entire time for me to even get the help to even, like, financially to get through that. So again, don't be afraid, because he will provide. He's literally your father watching out for you. He'll set the people, the money, everything. So just want to add that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, God is amazing.
Literally, and we talk about how great he is.
He's just so kind, and he just wants to give you all the love, and I think you just gotta lean into that. That's a reminder to myself too. That's like, he wants the best for you, and that's we forget that so easily. That's like, he does, because it's easy to think of other qualities about him, and I'm like, those are true, but there's also his gentle and kind side who's there, just wanting to spend time with you. So it's like, he just wants the best for you, and He's so good. Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
awesome.
Yeah.
Those are the best nuggets we could have left on. God is amazing.
Yes.
And he will provide for you.
Yes.
Anything he calls you to do.
Exactly.
So we're going to end on that note. Thank you both so much for being on. I am so happy with this. Yes. Yes. Thank y'all so much for watching. We will see you in the next one.
See y'all. Bye.